In this video, let's understand what is not null constraint. So I'm trying to create this table, employee table, and these are the four columns I want to add: employee ID, employee name, employee email, and employee salary. Let's say I want to keep my employee ID as auto-generated. For that, I can define this employee ID as identity column, and also I want to make this as primary key, so I can assign primary key also to this column, which will make sure nobody is allowed to insert null in this column. By saying identity means it will auto generate the values for employee ID, and by saying primary key I am saying this value will be unique. I cannot add duplicate values to my this column, and I am also saying this column cannot have null values. So by default primary key cannot have null values. Similarly, if I want to make my employee email as not nullable, for that I can use not null constraint. To make column not nullable, we can simply add not null in front of the column name. Like this we can add, and if I create my table with this syntax, this will make sure our employee email is always having some value. SQL Server will not allow null values here. Let's create this table. Table has been created. Now let's try to insert a record in employee table. Give a valid name here, and let's try to give null as our email address, and let's provide some salary to our employee. Let's try to insert this record. You can notice we are getting an error here. That is because we cannot insert null into column employee email, because this column has declared as not null. However, let's say, so I am giving some email address here, but this time I will make my name as null. You will notice by default SQL Server will make all our columns as nullable. So this statement will be executed without any issues. Let's execute this. You can notice one row affected, and if I do select start from employee and see the data, you can notice the employee ID 2 is given to Mark, and employee name is not available because we have inserted null. Okay, let's say you want to make your employee name also as not nullable, because employee will always have a name, right? So it doesn't make any sense to have employee name as null. So let's see how we can make our employee name also as a nullable column. So for that we need to use alter table statement, right? Because the table is already created. If the table is new, then you can use this syntax and make your column as nullable. But if your table is already created, then you need to use alter table statement. So let's use that. I will say alter table, and I will specify the table name, that is employee. And then I need to say alter. I want to alter a column, and the name of the column is employee name. I want to keep the same data type, varchar 255, but this time I want to make it also as not null. Let's try to execute this and see what happens. If I execute this, you will notice we are getting an error here, because in our table we already have a null value on this employee name. So we are not allowed to make this column as not nullable. First of all, we need to remove this record where we have the employee name as null. Then only we can make our column as not nullable. So let's do that. Let me remove the record. So I am deleting this record. Let's delete this. Now let's again try to alter the column. Now the column has been altered successfully. Now if you try to execute this statement again where the name of the employee is null, you will get the error. Let's see. Execute. You can see I am not able to insert null here, because now our employee name is also not nullable. You can verify that by selecting the table and pressing Alt plus F1 key of your keyboard. This will fetch all the details about the table, and in this section you can see employee name, and you can look for column that says nullable. Now it says nullable no, right? Because we have made our employee name also as not nullable, because our employee ID is primary key, so this column is also not nullable. Only nullable column now is employee salary, and we see yes here, right? Let's provide some name to our employee. Our record has been inserted. Let's see in the table also. So we have our mark employee with the email address and the salary. So guys, this is how you can use not null constraint in SQL Server.